Is everybody ready?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So we're going to discuss dreams from God. We'll see, we may change the title later, but dreams from God. All right, so I'll start off asking you guys a question. How do you know that you're not dreaming right now? How do you know you're not dreaming right now? No takers?
Because I'm seeing what is real and not what my subconscious is thinking.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you some ways that you will know that you're not dreaming a little bit later on. Okay. Okay. All right. So let me start off. Job 33:14-15. It says, "Indeed, God speaks once or twice, yet no one notices it. In a dream, a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on people while they slumber in their beds." So it's saying that sometimes God speaks to us and we don't hear him. Sometimes God speaks to us, but yet we don't hear him. And God speaks to us through dreams. God speaks to us through dreams. So today we're going to talk about dreams. We're going to talk about dreams. So this is an interesting study. I hadn't really seen anybody speak on dreams or preach on dreams, especially in evangelical church. I've been actually studying this for the past few months in between lessons to get some familiarity on it. And when I came to put this lesson together from my notes, I realized, okay, this is not going to be, it's going to be more than a lesson. And so it's probably going to be at least 3 lessons worth of stuff. So most cultures believe that dreams are supernatural, or many cultures believe that dreams are supernatural. So you remember Nebuchadnezzar, the story of Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar in the Bible? So Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and he sent out for anyone who can interpret it. And do you remember what Nebuchadnezzar was going to do if no one could interpret it? If no one could interpret his dream, what was going to happen? Anybody going once, going twice? If they didn't interpret his dream, he was going to kill. Oh, go ahead. Alan, were you going to say something?
Wasn't he gonna like throw them into the furnace or something?
Oh, it's the same Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah, he was going to throw the Hebrew boys in the furnace, but he was going to kill the prophets in some manner. All of his seers and future tellers, he was going to kill them all if no one could interpret it. But Daniel came and saved the day. So Daniel was able to interpret it. But that tells us that he thought this dream was important. You know, he was going to kill all of his prophets and seers, and he was going to have no more. So he thought this dream was important. So why is it that he thought this dream was important? And then it turns out, as we read, that the dream ended up being from God. So there was actually a Babylonian saying. It says, if a man cannot remember the dream he saw, his God is angry with him. It says, if a man cannot remember the dream he saw, his God is angry with him. That was what the Babylonians, what Nebuchadnezzar was, that was their belief. So they believed that dreams were important. The Babylonians believed dreams were important. They believed that they were supernatural. And many cultures believe dreams are important. So back in the Samaritan times, some of the oldest manuscripts we have are from the Samaritan, oldest texts that we have. And some of the oldest texts that we have in existence, these texts are describing the meanings of dreams and the interpretations of dreams. So it's been something that people have been looking at throughout history. Nearly all cultures and all religions try to address dreams. And all of the Abrahamic traditions teach that dreams are messages from God. So Judaism, Islam, Christianity, they all teach that dreams are messages from God. Native Americans believe that dreams contain messages from your souls or your ancestors. And so many cultures believe that dreams are important. The ancient Egyptians believed it, the ancient Greeks, the Romans, Christians, Buddhists, Muslim, Hindus, various religions in Africa. I actually have a friend, I told her I was going to be, I was studying dreams, and she does a podcast. She's like, oh, you should come on my podcast. She's not a Christian. She said, I guess she has a guy who's famous in India who I guess he can interpret your dream. And if you give him your birthday, he's going to tell you about your past life. And I said, no, thank you. But many cultures believe that dreams are supernatural. And so does everybody dream? Does everybody dream? Yes, pretty much everybody dreams, even if you don't remember it. So you may not remember the dream, but everybody does dream. Unless there is exception, would be some people who've had brain damage may not dream. But everybody else, even if you don't remember it, you still dream. So for the next 3 lessons, we're going to be covering dreams. We're going to be looking at what are dreams, why do we dream, the fact that God speaks through dreams, some common dreams across cultures, talk about interpreting dreams, how to position yourself to hear from God, and we're going to talk about nightmares and evil dreams as well. But so for today's lesson, we're going to be looking more of the kind of an academic look, looking at some of the psychological, the scientific, some of the academic traits of dreams and some biblical examples. And in future lessons, we'll get more into the application and the supernatural. So this is the outline for today's lesson. That was the introduction. Then we're going to talk about the traits of wholeness. We're going to answer the question, what are dreams and why do we dream? We're going to look at some interesting facts about dreams. Then we'll talk about how does God use dreams? And then just one practical tip today. And in some of the future lessons, we're going to talk about nightmares and evil dreams. Interesting, on YouTube, it's like hard to find something on dreams preaching, but if you go to like demonic dreams or sexual dreams, you get millions of videos on that. And then we're going to talk a bit about interpreting dreams and common or recurring dreams and interpreting dreams. All right, so that's the outline. Any thoughts, questions?
I have a question on the scripture. I'm just pulling it up. This is Daniel. It looks like it says 2:28 to 28.
Yes. It's just 2:28.
It's just 2:28. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that came up like that. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about our traits of wholeness. We're in our series called Seeking Wholeness. We're looking at how to be spiritually, emotionally, and mentally healthy, how to be free from oppression from the past, from ourselves, from bad thinking, from strongholds, from the enemy. We're talking about dealing with our current stresses in life and also how to deal with wounds from the past. Because as Christians, we're not just supposed to have eternal life, we're supposed to have joy, peace, patience, self-control while we're here on earth. And we define some traits that we're striving for. We've called them the traits of wholeness, and I'll read them again. Traits of wholeness are authenticity, honesty, kindness. So these are traits that show that you have grown and you're becoming mentally, emotionally, and spiritually healthy. Not seeking external approval or validation. Living by values and principles. Setting boundaries. Taking ownership of your responsibilities. Living with purpose and passion. Optimism. Confidence. Having healthy relationships with others. Not losing control of your emotions. being free from addictions, addressing conflict with truth and love, vulnerability, not being critical or judgmental, not jealous of others, forgiving those who've wronged you in the past, knowing that you're worthy of receiving love, not being afraid to fail, able to manage irrational fear, worry, and anxiety, having selfless encounters with others, not manipulating others to try to control their actions and reactions. You care about how others feel. You're patient. You don't give in to peer pressure and social pressure. You can communicate directly. You don't take responsibility for other people's emotions, and you don't expect other people to take responsibility for yours. Being slow to anger, having the ability to maturely express your wants, needs, and desires, and ultimately being led by the Holy Spirit. So these are traits that we're striving for. We'll be striving for them for the rest of our life. And so for the disclaimer for the YouTubers and those that this is not clinical or counseling. This is for religious and educational purposes, this Bible study. All right, so let's start off. What are dreams? So we're going to talk about what are dreams. Dreams are stories and images that our mind creates while we sleep. Stories and images that our mind creates while we sleep. Dreams occur in our non-conscious mind. So I use the term non-conscious. Some people say unconscious or subconscious. So that the conscious mind is the irrational mind, your mind that you're in during the normal day. And then you have a non-conscious mind. And so neurologists refer to the unconscious mind as your mind when it's, unconscious. Like if you're under anesthesia or if you're passed out drunk from alcohol, your mind is unconscious versus the non-conscious mind, which is the part of your mind that you don't consciously control, is the non-conscious mind. So dreams occur in your non-conscious mind, the part of your mind that's not in your forefront, the part that you don't control. Welcome, Kenneth. And your non-conscious mind is active when you're asleep, even though your conscious mind is not. So when you sleep, your conscious mind isn't active, but your non-conscious mind is. And dreaming, it's a way of understanding what's going on through your life. Your dreams aren't just random. They aren't just random events. They have some connection to your own personal experiences or your personal thoughts. So a random fact about dreams, psychologists or scientists say that you can only see familiar faces in your dream. They say your non-conscious mind can't make up faces. So not familiar necessarily that people you know, but faces that you've seen. So even if you went to Disneyland and you saw 1,000 people, you didn't even necessarily have to focus on the person, but if they were out in the audience, your non-conscious mind saw that face, and so it can reuse it, even if it's somebody you don't know or you don't recognize. But they're all either faces you recognize or a blending of faces you recognize, they say. So not necessarily people you know, but faces that you've seen somewhere in your life. Somewhere, even if it was like on a crowd you watched a football game on TV, it was somebody somewhere in the audience. How do they prove that? I don't know. But
Yeah.
but so dreams we dream about things we experience when we are awake, and things in your environment can affect your dreams. Things like the temperature. The temperature can affect your dream, but also like if you're dreaming and your dog barks, then all of a sudden your dog may come into your dream. So things going on in your environment impact what you dream about. It's not just random, and it's not just, so stuff that's going on around your body can impact what you dream about. So the Bible talks about dreams and visions. What's the difference between a dream and a vision? A vision happens when you're awake, you're alert. A dream happens when you're asleep. So when Peter was woken and he saw the sheep with the unclean food, that was a vision. When John wrote the book of Revelations, that was a vision. When Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker were in jail with Joseph and they had dreams, that was a dream. When God appeared to Joseph, Mary's husband, that was a dream. All right. Any comments or thoughts so far? No. All righty. Okay. So let's talk about sleep. So today will be a bit scientific, psychological, academic, but we're also going to talk about God. Start off with sleep. So let's talk about sleep. Who's heard of REM sleep? Has anybody heard of REM sleep?
Yes.
You know what it is? Stands for?
Rapid eye movement sleep.
Yes, rapid eye movement. So REM sleep stands for rapid eye movement. So there are 4 phases when we sleep. There are 4 different phases that we go into, and we go from stage 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and then in about a 90-minute cycle, and then you have a period between sleep, and then you go back to sleep. So we do this 3 or 4 times per night. So we go through this cycle. So the first cycle is NR1 for non-REM 1. They're very creative in their naming. Got rib and 3. So NR1. So that's the transition from awake to sleep. NR1. NR2, you're less aware of your surrounding. And if you do dream, it's an unconscious type of dreaming. NR3 is deep sleep. So the third phase you go to is deep sleep. That's when you get your deepest sleep. And the fourth phase is REM sleep. REM sleep is where you dream. It's where normal dreams occur. And the more powerful dreams, the more impactful dreams. And so REM isn't the deepest form of sleep, but it's the last stage, and it's the deep sleep, REM sleep. And so the other, you can have some types of dreams in the other stages, but they're a little bit different. There's a little difference. Were you going to say something, Angel?
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. No, I just did change my speaker again so sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, that's okay. Okay. All
I have
right.
a question now.
Yes.
Would you say that, so the different stages, and REM is the last stage?
Oh, REM. REM. REM?
Yeah. But it's not the deepest.
Right.
It's not the deepest, but it's the last stage.
Yes.
So which one is the deepest?
The third stage is the deepest. So the third stage is the deepest when you get probably the loudest snoring and all of that. But
And I think you also said, Michael, that, and I know you actually cycle through the 4 cycles, you cycle through them a number of times per night.
yes, yeah, you cycle through them hopefully 3 or 4 times a night if you're getting good sleep. They're about 90 minutes. The whole sleep cycle takes about 90 minutes. And we cycle through them. So in stage 3, the deep sleep is where we get a few of the unusual things like sleepwalking. That's a stage where some people sleepwalk. Sleep talking. Bedwetting. Those who bedwet. And night terrors. So night terrors are the scary dreams you have basically in this stage, in REM 3. So they're different than regular dreams. So they quantify those as night terrors. In REM sleep, so REM sleep, the final stage, that's where you, rapid eye movement, they call it that because your eyes are moving really fast. Even though they're closed, your eyes are moving really fast. That's where you have your dreams. Most of your dreams occur there. Your brain actually looks like you're awake. So if I'm trying to connect. If they connect you to a brain scan, your brain activity looks like you're awake. You have the same amount of activity in your brain during REM sleep. And it's hard to wake people up. But in REM sleep, though, the difference is your logic is turned off. So your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic, reason, self-awareness, that portion is off. So it's like your brain is active, but you can't rationally do things. You can't do things rational. Your left brain is off basically during REM sleep. So that's why your dreams are so abnormal. That's why you aren't self-aware. That's why your dreams may not make sense, because the rational part of your brain is not on during dreaming. Let's see. Also, what happens during sleep? You get memory consolidation. So you store memories, important memories. You delete unimportant memories while you're sleeping and dreaming. And learning takes place. So when you're in REM, you have memories. If memories come to your mind during REM sleep, they play at real-time speed. So if you ever you remember it at the same speed you experienced it at during REM. Versus if you're sitting and you remember something, it could happen fast, or you can remember different points, but it's in real time in REM. And you can learn things. So if you're learning something during the day, REM sleep is where you actually store it and learn it. So if you want to learn to ride a bike, learn to play the piano, REM sleep is important. When you're studying for a test, when you go into REM sleep, that's when the actual learning takes place. That's when it gets stored into your memory during REM sleep. All right. Any questions, thoughts on the sleep phases?
Can we get a copy of that one where you had the listing of the different stages, a couple of slides back? It'll be online though, right?
It'll be online. I could paste it in the chat. I don't know how it'll look, but yeah, it'll be online by the weekend. But there it is.
Yeah.
Or did you want to see it again?
I thought it was 2 columns. It was a slide. It was just a couple of slides back.
This?
Oh no, that's it. Sleep phases. Okay, yeah, and then yeah. So you're gonna post those?
Yes. Yeah, that'll be online.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay. All right. So now, the question is, why do we dream? Why do we dream? So scientists don't all agree on some of the things, but we dream. We dream to learn new information. We dream to sort out thoughts. We dream to solve problems. And as Christians, we know that we also dream is a form of communication with God. So one thing we do when we dream is process information. We store information, process it and store it. So your brain is more active when you dream than it is when you're awake. So when you're dreaming, your brain actually has more activity than when you're awake. So based on like measuring your brain activity. So that's when we process information, categorize it, consolidate it, we store it, information that we learned during the day. And there's one psychologist that said, the dream is a part of us that's doing its best to try to express a reality that is still outside of fully articulated conscious comprehension. Meaning that there are some things that we don't necessarily understand. Like, have you ever had a hunch? You know, you had a hunch or something, or you got a gut feeling or something, or there's something you know, but you can't explain why you know it. So there's things that we know, and that's in our non-conscious mind knows things, but we can't really explain why. Like maybe someone said, you say, hey, I won this prize, or somebody, oh, I'm really happy for you. And their mouth is smiling, but their eyes aren't smiling. So you may not notice that when you look at them, but in your non-conscious mind, you noticed it. So it's like, you're like, something about that person is not. So it's like you pick up traits with your non-conscious mind that you're not necessarily conscious of. And so processing and sorting that out is one of the things you do during dreams. And things you don't understand yet, trying to act it out, trying to try out different things. Another thing you do during the dream is threat simulation. So you're trying to prepare for a negative circumstance. You know, if something happened bad or if something might happen, you're trying to prepare. What can I do if this happens? If this happens again, what can I do? So your brain is trying to get ready to fight. Get ready for humiliation. Get ready for an enemy that you fear. It's like, what happens if I encounter them? What do I do? So you're acting through scenarios to learn and to figure that out. So it's preparing you emotionally and action for that situation.
Question.
Yes.
So I wonder, as it mentioned, someone who has a really analytical mind versus a creative mind. It's like what you just described sounds like someone who's very analytical. And I wonder, how does that come out or manifest itself? Those two characteristics in individuals, one being creative and one being analytical.
I think it manifests itself in both. It just may not be, the processing may not be as strong as someone's creative. But we're going to talk about the fact that you are more creative when you dream. So a creative person, so we'll talk about that in a little bit, but a creative person is going to, come up with songs, is going to create stuff more so than an analytical person. So I think it's also a matter of what you're focusing on. If it's someone who's always thinking and trying to problem solve, then when you dream, you're going to do that. But if it's someone who's trying to create, then when you dream, you're going to do that. So it's also kind of a reflection of what you're focusing on, what you're thinking about when you're awake. But I imagine, there's I'm not actually completely sure creative, but both, but we definitely all do both. But to what degree it may change. All right, yeah. Another thing we do when we dream is emotional consolidation. So have you ever gone to bed feeling bad about something, but then you woke up feeling okay about it? You guys like, no, I woke up.
Is that what you call sleeping it off?
Yeah, sleeping it off. You guys like, no, I woke up madder. But
That's for me. I thought.
okay. Yeah, so your brain can sort through the emotions that you had during the day. So it can sort through some of the emotions that you feel, and some scientists say that it's not that you get strong emotions because you had a dream. So it's not like, oh, I had this scary dream, so I'm scared, or I had this dream, so that's why I have this emotion. They say it could be that you had that dream because you had that emotion while you were asleep. So you had that emotion, that's why you had the dream, versus you had the dream, or you got that emotion because of the dream.
I wonder about that. I think about sometimes I got awakened from a dream. And what I saw visually in that dream affected me emotionally. And after I woke up, that emotion was still there. It felt like I had lived that.
Yeah.
What I dreamt.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, because I'm wondering how that theory works with fear. So I could see that more so in other situations. But yeah, definitely, there's dreams you wake up maybe frightened or something.
Right.
But it could have been that you're frightened of something. But, we're gonna. Oh, I mentioned at the beginning of the class that in the future lessons, we're going to talk about nightmares and interpretations of dreams. But so it could be a mixture of the two. So what you're feeling could influence the dream, or what you're thinking of. I know, for instance, if say you're watching a scary movie, you're more likely to have a scary dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if you're watching a scary movie before you go to sleep, it's like, oh, you know, I had a dream. What happened in your dream? Oh, it was this guy who was chasing me and he had a knife. Oh my goodness, what do you think it means? Well, what were you doing before? Well, I binge watched the whole Friday the 13th series. It's like, yeah, I don't think that was a message. I think you binge watched the whole Friday the 13th series. So it could be what you're thinking about when you're awake can impact what you dream. But but it's not going to necessarily show up exactly how it is in real life, even though. So it may appear different in your dream, the emotions you're feeling. All right. And then lastly, dreams are a way we hear from God. Dreams are a way we hear from God. Chris, you have Acts. Did Chris disappear?
Yeah.
I think it disappeared. Okay, so I'll read Acts 2:17. And we have another version of it later. It says, "And it shall be in the last days, God says, that I will pour out my spirit on all mankind, and your sons and daughters will prophesy, and your young men will see visions, and your old men will have dreams." I think the thought is that dreams were thought to be more common in younger people, but God is saying in the last days everyone will dream. So he's saying your sons, your daughters. So in the last days, in the current days, God speaks in dreams. God speaks in dreams to men. He speaks in dreams to women. He speaks in dreams to believers. He speaks in dreams to non-believers. He speaks in dreams to Jews. He speaks in dreams to Gentiles. We've seen examples of that in the Bible. We saw God spoke to Pharaoh. God spoke to Pharaoh, gave him a dream that Joseph interpreted it. God spoke to Nebuchadnezzar, gave him a dream, and Daniel interpreted it. God spoke to the king, I forget his name, who had taken Abraham's wife, Sarah, as his own wife. And we're going to read that later. God spoke to him and said, no, no, no. God spoke to the three wise men. So he speaks to non-believers as well. Communicates with non-believers. And then finally, he talked about creative people. So dreams help us solve problems. So we can solve. So sleeping on a problem. Talk about sleeping on a problem. So dream allow you to see difficult issues in a new perspective. They let you come up with conclusions or solutions that you wouldn't otherwise see. So you can solve problems. You could be more creative in dreams. We dream more. We tend to dream more when we're under stress and we're in new environments. And so it could be a way of problem solving. So it provides creativity for solving complex problems. And so we've got a lot of famous inventions that actually came from dreams. Does anybody know of any?
It came from a dream?
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay, I'll name a few. Ones you may have heard of. Google.
Oh,
That-
it came as a dream?
Yeah, it came as a dream. The periodic table of elements. He had a dream about that table. The DNA double helix structure, figuring that out. That was in a dream. Tesla's idea for alternating current came out of a dream. And Paul McCartney's song Yesterday came to him in a dream. And I've had different revelations in dream, stuff with Bible studies where I wake up and write a bunch of stuff down. I think even like the initial outline I have for this series, I think I had a lot of it from a dream. Speeches, even coding, software coding. I'll go to sleep and come up with an answer on the way up or design things.
Yeah, it's a communications problem solver, creative. Some of my best ideas came to me as a dream.
Mm.
And once I presented it, of the concepts I would present, I always thought, and it always would happen, my dream, and then I'll present maybe two other concepts. The client will always pick the one that I talked about.
Oh, okay. Oh.
It's usually the strongest one as far as communications.
Ah, interesting. Got to go with the dream.
Yeah.
And so the guy who
Better sleep.
say it again.
I gotta get more sleep.
Got to get more sleep. Yeah, yeah, you and me both. So the guy who invented the sewing machine, that came to him in his dream. So he was trying to figure out how to create the sewing machine, how to make a sewing machine. Then he had a dream. He had a dream that some tribesmen, he was out in some jungle and some tribesmen caught him and they encircled him, and the king told him, you need to invent this sewing machine within the next 24 hours or we're going to kill you. This was in his dream. And then he was trying to figure it out. He came with things, but then the 24 hours came and he couldn't figure it out. So then all the tribesmen circled him with their spears and they started poking him. They started stabbing him with their spears. But then he noticed the tips of their spears had holes in them. And he thought that was curious. And then he woke up. And he said, oh, wait. And then so the idea of putting the hole at the bottom of the needle for the sewing machine he got from that dream when they were stabbing him with the spears with holes at the bottom. Then he woke up and went and invented the sewing machine. And they've done different studies to measure creativity. So this was one that they did. They had people try to solve this problem. So this is a series, an infinite series. It goes on and on. O-T-T-F-F. So this is a series of letters. And they wanted people to try to figure out what it was. And they let some people go to sleep and some didn't. And they found that some people slept on it, could solve it better. But then one person had a dream about it. And he dreamed that he was in a museum. And he saw a painting of the number one. Or it was a painting, and the number one was the painting. And then next to it was the number 2. And next was the number 3 was in the frame. And then 4 and 5. But then the paintings for 6 and 7 had been stolen. It was just empty. And then he woke up. And he's like, wait. Oh, I got it. The next two letters are S and S. Because he realized that the sequence was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the dream of the 6 and 7 missing in the museum, let him know the solution.
I'm not getting it.
You're not getting it?
I'm looking at those letters and
Oh, okay. Let me reshare. So the first letter, O-N-E, 1. T-W-O, 2. 3, 4, 5. So these represents numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the next one will be S for 6, S for 7. It's a sequence, endless sequence. Then E for 8. So the goal was to figure out what is this sequence.
okay, right. Does everybody get that? Or is it just me?
Anybody get it? No?
Of course, after you explained it.
Sequence.
See, this down is 1, 2. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So next would be 6, 7. So basically the numbers in sequence. The first letter of each number in sequence, starting at 1. No? Okay. All right, I'll put it up. You can take another look at it. And other experiments they did, solving a maze. They let people look at a maze, and people who dreamed about the maze were able to navigate through. So you had a picture of a maze, then you had to go navigate through it, a life-size one. People who dreamed about it were more likely to be able to solve it. And they found that people who dreamed about smoking, people who gave up smoking, the ones who dreamed about it, were more likely to stay off, to keep from smoking. So dreams can make you more creative. They can help you solve problems. Now, some interesting facts about dreams. So I asked at the beginning the question, how do you know you're not dreaming right now? So let me give you your answer. So if you can read the names here on the screen, you're not dreaming. So you're conscious. You can't do conscious activity. So you can't read in your dreams. So you can't read a clock in your dreams. In your dreams, you can't read a clock. Like if there's a clock, it has the different slashes.
Celebrating. I think I answered the question correctly.
Oh, did you? Oh, what?
He froze on us. Never mind.
Oh, can you hear me now? Oh, my connection is unstable.
Yeah, you froze. But I think I answered the question correctly.
Oh, what was your answer?
I said earlier that everything is real. I'm not just seeing what's in my subconscious. I'm seeing what I'm very conscious of. But I
Yes.
probably could explain that a little better. But sounds like I was spot on.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you're not dreaming. You're right. So we can read. So we can read a clock. We can't read a clock when we dream. We can't read books in our dreams.
No.
And you can't see yourself in a mirror in a dream. So I guess that's how they get all the vampire and all that stuff. Scary movie stuff, remember.
Yeah.
But you can't read a clock, you can't see yourself in the mirror, and you can't read in dreams. So that's how you know you're awake, if you can do those things. Another interesting fact, everybody dreams. We talked about that. So 90 to 95, everybody dreams unless you have a brain injury. You just may not remember it. 90 to 95% of our dreams we forget. We forget 90 to 95% of our dreams. And that's not just a coincidence or an accident. That's on purpose. Our bodies intentionally don't want us to remember our dreams. So our body is wired to make us forget our dreams, because otherwise you would have all these memories, these weird memories. And so we forget our dreams most of the time. So our head isn't filled with useless information. But there's certain times you're going to be more prone to remember your dream. You'll be prone to remember your dream if, number one, if you wake up during REM sleep. Like if you get woken up in your dream, during your dream, then you're going to remember it. So if you're in the middle of a dream and you wake up, you're going to remember it. And
Did you? Sorry.
oh, go ahead.
Did you say that you can't look in a mirror? You can't see yourself in a mirror? Was that one of the things you said?
That's what psychologists say.
I've dreamt that I've seen myself in the mirror because it was like, oh, I actually look like I lost weight. Or,
Yeah.
and then of course I woke up and of course I didn't, but
Okay.
I know I've had dreams where I've looked in the mirror before, so.
Ah, okay. I was wondering about that one, but I don't know. That's what this documentary said. But all right. So she's debunked the one science fact. Unless that wasn't a dream. Maybe this is the dream. No, it's not. No, yeah. So Let's see. So you remember the dream if you have the same dream repeatedly, and you remember the dream if it has some strong emotion in it. If it has some strong emotion. So if you wake up during the dream, if you had the same dream, or if you have a strong emotion, those are the dreams you'll remember. So if you want to remember your dreams, so within 10 minutes, you're going to forget 90 to 95% of your dream. So even if you remember when you wake up, within 10 minutes, you'll forget it. So you can write it down if you want to remember.
Yeah. I keep pad and pencil on my nightstand. Yeah, so I can record it, because I know it's gonna. It's sometimes it's leaving me as I write it. Yeah.
Yeah. I keep something by my bed now too to record my dreams. Yeah, and I mentioned you dream about what you see. So actually, I had a dream last night. I was going into. I got dressed up to go somewhere. I didn't know where I was going until I got there, and it was a Catholic church. And I said, "Oh, this is interesting." But I walked in, and everybody else was casual. Yeah. But I sat at the back. There was a table in the back to fill something out, and it wasn't hardly anybody there. It was almost empty. I thought it was a big event I was going to, but it was empty. But then they said, "Okay," and this lady's gonna sing, and I realized it was Adele. She was like just a lady sitting in the audience. I said, "Oh, it's Adele." So let me go up front to maybe I can videotape this. But then I realized, oh, a lot of heads in the way. So I got up to go back to my seat in the back, and a bunch of people were coming in the door. And I said, "Oh, they're going to take my seat." And then I think I woke up. No, but then I remember in the dream thinking, hey, she was in my last dream. Like I thought that in my dream. Which I don't know if I've ever done that before, but then I woke up and it was like, oh, that was interesting. It's like I like Adele, but I don't know if I'd even actually go to her concert. But then I remember at on the last Warriors game, if you remember the one on was it 3 days ago, Sunday, she was at the game. They showed her in the audience. And I was like, oh, yeah. So just goes to show you dream about what you've seen sometime. So they said, oh, there's Adele at the game. And I was like, oh, okay, that's why.
Yeah, that was the one in Los Angeles.
Yeah, in LA. So another interesting fact about dreams can predict the future. So this is even, so scientists say that dreams can predict the future. So people have had dreams of fatal illnesses, miscarriages, getting sick, different things. People have had dreams of things that happen to them in the future. So those are the interesting facts about dreams. All right, any thoughts or comments on those? All right, so now we'll get to the fact of how God uses dreams. God uses dreams. So we've seen dreams in the Bible. Who has Joel 2, 28 and 29?
I got that one, Mike.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Hang on a quick second.
Oh.
Okay. And afterward, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. Even on my servants, both men and women, I will pour out my spirit in those days.
All right. Thank you. So that's the original. The one in Acts was quoting that. So God is going to pour out his spirit on us. Dreams, men, women. So who are some of the people in the Bible who God spoke to with dreams? Who are people in the Bible that God spoke to through dreams?
Is it Moses?
Moses. I don't know if he spoke to Moses.
I guess when you say dream or vision.
I guess, yeah, either. Okay. All right, Moses. Anybody else?
said Joseph.
Yeah.
Joseph?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm thinking Pharaoh, but I don't. One of the pharaohs, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, Pharaoh, and Joseph interpreted it.
That's right, Joseph was interpreting.
Abraham,
Yeah, Abraham. Yeah,
Isaac,
Isaac, yeah. I think it's Jacob too.
Jacob,
Yeah, Jacob, that's correct.
Daniel, and
Yeah.
Solomon, we'll
Yeah,
see.
Solomon, yeah.
So God uses dreams. So we'll look at some of the ways that God uses dreams. This may not be all of them, but these are some of the ways we'll look at. So these are some of the ways that God uses dreams. He's used dreams. We see examples of in the Bible, God using dreams to warn of negative future or current events that you can impact. So things that are going to happen or that are happening that you need to do something about. Number 2 is he gives a revelation of his will. So this is what God wants to happen, and he wants you to do something to take a part in it. Another way or reason that God communicates is to impart gifts on you, spiritual gifts or identity. So we're going to look at examples of all of these. Another way God uses dreams is to reveal mysteries, reveal secrets, reveal information. Number 5, he uses dreams to change your character. He speaks to you in dreams to change your character or your behavior. Number 6, he uses dreams to accomplish his plan. And number 7, we saw uses it to put people in position of influence. So we saw that with Joseph and Daniel. So those are some of the ways that God uses dreams. So first we'll look at warnings. Example, when God used dreams, warning. So this is an example where he's warning of danger. So God can use a dream to warn you that danger is coming. Who has Matthew 2:13?
I'll take it.
Can you put that back up for just a second, Michael? I wanted to, I didn't get to copy all that down.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh,
I think that's Eric.
is that you, Eric? Matthew 2:13?
No.
Nobody has it.
Oh, you can get it, Kenneth.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, 2:13. When they had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. Get up, he said, take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Pharaoh is going to search for the child to kill him.
All right. So God told Joseph, Jesus' father, to get up and go to Egypt because Herod is trying to kill Jesus. So God warned him in his dream. Yeah, there may have been angels' horns going on in the dream. We're not sure. But yeah, God warned him in a dream to that Herod was trying to kill him and to go to Egypt. So God can use dreams to warn us of danger.
Yeah.
There's danger going on. God can use a dream to warn us. He can also use it to warn us of consequences that we can prevent. Let's see, who has Genesis 41:14-28?
I know I got that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So
Or was that?
NIV.
Okay.
So Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and he was quickly brought from the dungeon. When he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came before Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream, and no one can interpret it. But I heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. I can't not do it, Joseph replied to the Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream, I was standing on the bank of the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the reeds. After them 7 other cows came up, scrawny and very ugly and lean. I had never seen such ugly cows in all the land of Egypt. The lean, ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first. But even after they ate them, no one could tell that they had done so. They looked just as ugly as before. Then I woke up. In my dream, I saw 7 heads of grain full and good, growing on a single stalk. After them, 7 other heads sprouted, withered and thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallow up the 7 good heads. I told this to the magicians, but none of them could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one and the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good crows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. It is one and the same dream. The 7 lean, ugly cows that came up afterwards are 7 years, and so are the 7 worthless heads of grain scorched by the east wind. They are 7 years of famine. And it is just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he's about to do.
All right. So Pharaoh had a dream and he didn't understand it. He saw 7 skinny cows eating 7 fat cows and grains of grass, and he's like, "What's going on?" And Joseph said, "I can't interpret it, but God can." He said, "I can't do it, but God can." So Joseph had the gift of interpretation. Joseph had the gift of interpretation. And he was able to interpret the dream for Pharaoh, but Pharaoh had the dream. So Pharaoh got the dream as a warning. So the dream came to Pharaoh as a warning. This is something that is going to happen that's bad in the future. But it was warning him, and it was a situation where he could take some action. If he takes some action, he could prevent it from happening. So sometimes God will warn us of something that might happen, but him warning us gives us the opportunity to do something to change that future outcome. So sometimes he's telling us about something that could happen in the future if we don't act. If we don't, we got to do something different than what we were going to normally do. You need to do something different. And so sometimes, a dream is a warning. Sometimes a dream is a warning. So Pharaoh was disturbed. Pharaoh was disturbed, the same as Nebuchadnezzar. He was disturbed. So he knew that the dream was bad and that it meant something. So Pharaoh knew that the dream was bad and it meant something. So he was disturbed. So sometimes God will give us a warning in the dream to something we need to do. And we know that we need to figure it out. But then we see coming up, sometimes God give us a warning and there's nothing we can do. Who has Genesis 15:12-14?
I have that.
Okay.
This is from NIV. As the sun was setting, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a thick, dreadful darkness came over him. Then the Lord said to him, "Know for certain that 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country, not their own, and they will be enslaved and mistreated there. But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves, and afterwards they will come out with great possessions."
All right. So he's saying your descendants are going to be slaves for 400 years. And it wasn't like a warning. It wasn't, you can do something about it. He said, know this for certain. It's like, this is definitely going to happen. It was just kind of a heads up. It was like, Abraham, this is some bad stuff for 400 years is going to happen. But I'm just letting you know. So sometimes God is just giving us a heads up of something bad's going to happen that we can't change. It's just kind of to get you emotionally prepared, mentally prepared, spiritually, physically, whatever you need to prepare. It's just a heads up of this is what's going to happen. And you see, in neither of these dreams, you hear people say, oh, the dream is from God if it gives you peace. Half the dreams in the Bible, the people got from God didn't give them peace. So sometimes he's warning you of something that you can change, sometimes warning you of something that didn't. All right, and sometimes he's revealing his will. He's revealing his plan. He's revealing, I guess that's revealing his plan, but we'll look at another situation where he's revealing his plan. Matthew 1:20. Who has that?
Me. Sorry. Give me a second.
Okay.
But after he had considered this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary home as your wife, because what is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, so this was when God had to step in. So Joseph was engaged to his sweet bride who was a virgin, had never been touched by a man. And then one day he went to visit her and she said, hey, I'm pregnant. So Joseph was like, well, I'm not going to kill you, but you got to go. But then God had to reveal to him in a dream, no, this is my plan, this is my will. So sometimes God will reveal his plan, his will. He will reveal his will, let you in on, this is me. This is me. This is going on, this is me. This is my plan. This is my plan. So sometimes God will use a dream to let you know his plan. Let you know his plan. Any thoughts, comments so far? No? Okay, and then, so there's sometimes God can use a dream to give you gifts or abilities of the Spirit, impart identity. I think I have 1 Kings 3:5-15. So this is Solomon. It says 1 Kings chapter 3 verses 5-15. It says, in Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream at night, and God said, ask what you wish me to give you. So God told Solomon, ask me whatever it is you want. Then Solomon said, you have shown great faithfulness to your servant David, my father, according as he has walked before you in truth, righteousness, and uprightness of heart towards you. And you have reserved for him this great faithfulness, that you have given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. And now, Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David. Yet I am like a little boy. I do not know how to go out or to come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people, whom you have chosen, a great people who are too many to be numbered or counted. So give your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, to discern between good and evil. For who is capable of judging this great people of yours? So he asked for wisdom, an understanding heart to judge the people. He could have asked for anything he wanted. Now it is pleasing in the sight of the Lord that Solomon has asked this thing. And God said to him, because you have asked this thing, so we notice in verse 1, it said verse 5, God appeared to him in a dream at night. So all of this is happening in a dream. So this is all happening in a dream. He's talking to God in a dream. This is all happening in a dream. And it's not just a dream of him talking to God. It's actually God who is actually talking to him. Probably the angel of the Lord actually talking to him in the dream. Now it was pleasing in the sight of the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said to him, because you have asked this thing and have not asked for yourself a long life, nor have asked riches for yourself, nor you have asked for lives of your enemies, but have asked for yourself discernment and to understand justice. Behold, I have done according to your words. Behold, I have given you a wise and discerning heart, so that there has been no one like you before you, nor shall they be arise after you. I have also given you what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that there will be not any among the kings like you in your days. And if you walk in my ways, keeping my statutes and commandment, as your father David walked, then I will prolong your days. Then Solomon awoke. It was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant, and offered burnt offerings and made peace offering. So God showed up in Solomon's dream and gave him understanding and gave him wisdom. So he gave him an impartation of abilities and talent, gave him gifts in his dream. So God can use his dreams to communicate with you. He can actually impart gifts on you in your dream. In your dream. So that was kind of an interesting thing. God can also reveal things to you, reveal mysteries. Who has Daniel 2:28?
I got that.
I thought I had that one. Do I not have that one?
Oh yeah, you have that, Angel.
But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. He has shown King Nebuchadnezzar what will happen in days to come. Excuse me. Your dream and the visions that pass through your mind as you are lying in bed are these.
All right. So then Daniel goes on to tell him. So he said, there's a God who reveals secrets. And so God revealed Nebuchadnezzar's dream to him. So God can reveal secrets to you. God can give you information in your dream. He can tell you people's motives in your dreams. He can give you interpretations of your dreams in your dreams. So God can reveal information through dreams. God reveals information through dreams. And so these are many examples of how God communicates with us or can communicate with us through dreams if we're listening. He can use dreams to help change you. Who has Job 33:14-18?
Okay, I got that.
All right. Job 33:14-18.
Yes. Got it. All right. For God does speak now one way, now another, though no one perceives it. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on people as they slumber in their beds, he may speak in their ears and terrify them with warnings. Turn them from wrongdoing and keep them from pride. To preserve them from the pit, their lives from perishing by the sword.
All right. So it says God speaks once. He speaks twice and nobody notices. Mm-hmm. So he's saying that God sometimes speaks to us and we don't hear it. Sometimes when God speaks to us, we don't hear it. Mm-hmm. Then it says, in a dream, a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls upon people. So sometimes your dreams, God is trying to speak to you when you're slumbering in the bed. And then it says, he opens the people's ears and horrifies them with warnings. So we talked about the fact that God gives you warnings. And it says he horrifies you with warnings. So if you have a dream and you're horrified, it could be God warning you of something. You know, I've heard a lot of people talk about demonic dreams they had that caused them to change their way or caused them to find out a family member was doing this. It was like, well, if something good came out of it, I don't know. If it caused you to follow God, then I don't know. But it says he opens people and horrifies them with warnings so that they may turn from their bad conduct. So God can give you dreams that will change your conduct. So change your character, change your behavior. He'll give you a dream that will cause you to change what you're doing. So if you're not walking right with God, he may give you a dream that encourages you to walk right. It says, in order to keep his soul from the pit being Sheol, being, where the unrighteous people went in the Old Testament. So he's saying he'll horrify you in order to get you on the right path so you don't end up in the wrong place. So you don't perish from the spear. So to change your actions. So sometimes God will give you a dream that will change your actions.
What scripture was that again? I lost track.
Job 33:14-18.
Oh, 18, okay.
And so that is in the passage of Job. We have to measure it, figure out which one of Job's friends is saying this. And is it? So that's always the concern with reading Job is like a few chapters later, God comes back and says, yeah, no, don't listen to that guy. Mm-hmm. But we've seen examples of this. We've seen examples of this earlier, where God, he scared Pharaoh, he scared Nebuchadnezzar in order to get them to do right. He even told Pontius Pilate. I think Pontius Pilate's wife had a dream. She said she had a dream about Jesus that terrified her about Jesus. So she told him to leave the guy alone. Leave this right religious man alone. I had a dream. All right, so God can use dreams to change our behavior. And then God can use dreams to accomplish his plan. Who has Genesis 20:1-7? Chapter 20, verses 1-7.
Okay.
All right, keep quiet.
Now Abraham moved on from there into the region of the Negev and lived between Kadesh and Shur. For a while he stayed in Gerar, and there Abraham said of his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." Then Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent for Sarah and took her. But God came to Abimelech in a dream one night and said to him, "You are as good as dead because of the woman you have taken. She is a married woman." Now Abimelech had not gone near her. So he said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? Did he not say to me, 'She is my sister'? And didn't she also say, 'He is my brother'? I've done this with a clear conscience and clean hands." Then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know you did this with clear conscience, and so I have kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. I'll return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. But if you do not return her, you may be sure that you and all who belong to you will die."
So to accomplish his will, that Abraham have all the generations through Sarah. He prevented it. So Abraham and Sarah went to a new town. Sarah was beautiful. Abraham was scared that the king was going to want to take her, and so he'd kill him. So he just said, she's my sister. She's my sister. So then the king took her as his wife. And God appeared to the king and said, "Hey, that's Abraham's wife, and he's a prophet of mine. Don't touch her and give her back." So God appeared to this king, Abimelech, in a dream to accomplish his will. Similar to how he did in Nebuchadnezzar and Pharaoh. The Bible talks about how the ruler's hand is in the ruler's heart is in God's hand like a river, meaning that God has the ability to influence national rulers to influence their free will of national rulers. And so we see many examples of that. He hardened Pharaoh's heart many examples where he wouldn't necessarily do things to you or I, but God, yeah, he comes in a dream to accomplish his plan. So we can see that God uses dreams to have his will done. And so we want to be attentive and listen for what God is saying to us. Let's see. Any thoughts on those ways that God uses dreams? To warn us of negative future and current events that we can impact, give us revelation of his will that we can take a part of, to impart gifts, to reveal mysteries, to change our character or our behavior, to accomplish his plan, and then he has used it to position his people in positions of influence. All right. No thoughts on that? Okay, so then we'll go to one practical tip for today. I guess I could. Practical tip for today is to do like Kenneth and start writing down your dreams. Start writing down your dreams. God may be trying to tell you something. Daniel 7:1. Daniel 7:1 says, in the first year, Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel saw a dream and visions in his mind, and he lay on his bed. Then he wrote the dreams down and told the following summary of it. And we got the book. So Daniel, he wrote his dreams down. So we want to write our dreams down. You can keep a journal of them. So you want to, I'll put this up. You want to write your dreams down because God may be speaking to you. So you can keep a journal by your bed. Write down dreams as soon as you wake up and refer to them to see if there are any commonly recurring themes. If there are any commonly recurring themes. And if you don't write it down soon, then it's possibility that you could change things. You could change things that you remember. And a future lesson will talk about interpretations of dreams. Gotta study that a little more. Oh, but one thing though is that you want to write down, I'll give you a little foreshadowing of it, but you want to not just write down like the details, write down your emotional state too. So were you happy? Were you sad? How did you feel about the certain thing? Because, you may be on a ship on an ocean and then, somebody wants to go and Google, what does ship on an ocean in a dream mean? Oh, it means somebody's going to die. But on the ship on the ocean, you were happy. You were happy and ecstatic. So it's like so your emotional state matters when you're writing down. Is in terms of what God is saying to you. What it's saying to you. It's not. So the pattern. So see if there's a pattern. See if there's any patterns, and then you can pay attention to it. If you have one dream that's random, you may or may not mean something. But if you see a pattern forming, then there's something you can pay attention to. It could be God speaking to you. It could be your non-conscious mind trying to get you to resolve something. But it's something you need to pay attention to. Something you need to pay attention to. Something that maybe you haven't resolved. Something you haven't resolved yet in your past. Something that you didn't understand when it happened, and you misinterpreted it. So your conscious mind is bringing it back up. So write down the themes. It could be God warning you of the future. It could be something in your past that you need to examine. Write down the themes. All right, any thoughts? comments, questions?
This is very good. I find this very, very interesting. And as we've been going through it, I'm just kind of amazed at how you must have put this together with all the different references. And all. It's a good job.
Oh, thank you.
It's not, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mentioned at the beginning. I've been studying this for the past 2 or 3 months because I hadn't heard a lot talked about it. And then when I went to come put it together, I realized, I've got 3 lessons here. This is more than one lesson. This is so there's a couple more lessons coming out of it. But okay, well, I've got a little bit more. I had a little bit that I took out, but since we've got time, couple more points that would have just been taken out. Okay. So in your brain, so when you're sleeping, you're sleeping, you're running, maybe you're jumping, maybe you're playing tennis. Why aren't your arms moving, or why aren't your legs moving when you're doing that? If your brain is doing that.
Sometimes they are.
Sometimes they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when it comes to running. It's called a nightmare then.
Depends on why. You may be running to Jesus' arms. Depends on why. But most people they don't move. They're not moving around acting out what's going on in the dream. That's because your body actually gets paralyzed when you dream. So when you dream, your brain disconnects from your nervous system, so you don't act out the stuff. So your brain disconnects from the rest of your body, so that you don't act it out on purpose, and that's called rematonia.
I've heard of people dreaming that they were in a fight and they wake up.
Yeah, that's yeah, that has happened. I've seen even videos of that. And I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get to that. But most people don't. Most people don't do that. Most people don't act it out, and that's normal. I mean, obviously, you don't want to be doing that, and but that is what causes. No, let me skip to what you're saying. So some people, they don't have that. So that's supposed to shut off. So some people have a problem where their body doesn't disconnect. And that's when you get, usually in phase 3, NR3, in the deep sleep, they may act stuff out. They'll hold conversations, they'll fight, they're yelling, they may jump out of bed. And that's where you get sleepwalking too.
Yeah.
Because their body it was supposed to disconnect and it didn't. And so some people have driven cars, some people have cooked food, somebody climbed a crane, somebody actually committed murder in their sleep. So that's genetic. That's genetic, and that's a problem. And people, I think it's called RBD. People who have that, they're likely to get dementia or Parkinson if you have that. But most people, you shut down. But so when your body shuts down, so normally your body is off. You're dreaming, you're running, you're jumping, you're waving, you're not doing any of it. But so that's why sometimes when you wake up, have you ever woken up and you couldn't move? Sleep paralysis. Have you ever woken up and you couldn't move your arms, or you couldn't move for a little while? Then eventually you could? It's called sleep paralysis. That's because it's still off. So you're in the state between wake and sleep. You're waking up, but your body hasn't connected back up yet. So your body hasn't connected back up yet. That's sleep. That's what we call sleep paralysis. And we'll talk a little more about that when we get to nightmares, because some people then they see things during that. Some people may see like a figure in the room if they're Christian or Muslim or Jewish. They may see a figure, maybe thinking it's a demon in the room. But other people will see an alien or a ghost or a vampire. It's your body, a natural thing that you couldn't move, and eventually it goes, you fully wake up and you regain your movement. That's a natural thing that happens. So we'll talk a little bit more about the scary side of that. So sleep paralysis, and then the last type of sleeping issue is narcolepsy. Narcolepsy. There are some people that it's when you just fall asleep randomly in the middle of your regular waking life. You just fall asleep. Or called narcolepsy. And so I know some people have done that. And usually when you have narcolepsy, you fall right into REM sleep. So they go right into the dreaming stage. Like they're awake, watching TV, then next thing they're dreaming. It's like they skip the other stages. So it's an interesting disorder. So they may experience sleep paralysis, hallucinations, and have trouble distinguishing whether what's real and what's not. So those are some sleep conditions, some other sleep conditions. Any thoughts on those? Any thoughts on that? No? You guys all sleep? You sleep?
Just thinking, the dreams I have, sometimes I dream situations that I've been, I feel like those are like reminders. My life before I submit to God, And it's just like, this is where you used to be, but I play out a new scenario on certain situations. Like when I used to hang with a circle of people that drink a lot and all that type of stuff, I'll have a dream where I'm back in that setting. And sometimes I wake up, it seems a little too real. But I feel like those are like reminders to me of where I've come from, giving myself to God and living a different life, other than the party life, But I sometimes it's hard for me to decipher a meaning behind the dream. Like, what type of message is this from God? So I run into those challenges. And also, I could do better with writing it down. I am one of those creative thinkers. I'll come up with a lot of business ideas. I think I've probably written it down once or twice.
Oh.
I'm the
really?
one that tends to forget my dreams.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Really quickly. After that, and it's like I had a great business idea, and will wake me up at 3 a.m.
Oh.
Go back to sleep, but I do have dreams. Like I said, what's more important for me is the dreams that I do have that tend to kind of give me some sort of like message when I wake up. Like, what was that about? Those are the ones that come to like try to seek answers from God. Like, what did that mean? And am I not living right? I don't know.
Yeah, and we definitely want to ask God,
Ask God that question.
what is he trying to tell you something? What does that mean? What should I, if it's, definitely, especially if it's recurring, to try to figure out what does it mean, asking God, what does that mean? And so we'll speak a bit more of that when we get into interpretations. But definitely if it's recurring, then you can take it to God and ask him to clarify what does that mean. But okay. Any other thoughts? So that's let's see. I think that's all I have to present. So let's walk in the way, let's seek the truth and live the life. It was all a dream.
Great lesson. I really like you did your homework a lot. We learned a lot. I think I did. The stages of the dreams, right? What your sleeping patterns. So I really like the educational piece and then how it comes into spiritual. So great. It was a great format. I like the way you laid it out today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.